Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you, enjoying a few little big hunks this morning. Pretty good candy. I need a little bit of a jump start this morning. I stayed up a little bit too late watching a few extra episodes of Sons of Anarchy. I just started watching this show in season 1, and I think I don't know, probably 10 or 12 episodes in. I've binged on it the last 2 days. I will say that I do like the way that they're building the story, making you sort of like get attached to these bad guys, these bikers. It's not as thrilling as Breaking Bad yet, but I do enjoy having a show that I do know that I have a long stretch of shows to watch in the foreseeable future that I can just sort of, sit down on the couch and veg out on for the next good little while. News this morning is basically Rob Van Dam has made a statement talking about his next WWE run. It was funny listening to Chris Jericho on the Cheap Heat podcast, because Chris Jericho says basically everywhere he goes, everyone wants to know the question basically, when are you going to come back, Chris? When are you going to come back? And Jericho pretty much is like, I just left. You have to give it some time before leaving, before coming back, before it really doesn't really matter that you're back. You want to have a little bit of a time for yourself where you're able to sort of wind down and get through everything, but then you also want to have the fans really wanting your return for when you finally come back. Rob Van Dam just came and he just finished his second run through with WWE, sort of being a mid-term guy, I guess you can say, or a part-time guy, however you want to say it. Of course, he finished up his TNA run, and he came back last year before Money in the Bank. This year, he made his return around WrestleMania time. I believe it was the night after WrestleMania, and then he worked all the way through about Money in the Bank time this year. So he just works those few runs, and if you really look at Rob Van Dam's run, he really didn't do anything, and that's the one reason why he's saying he wants solid plans about what he's doing in the foreseeable future if he's going to make his return to WWE. Honestly, when it comes down to it, I thought WWE almost gave Rob Van Dam this last run almost as if it was charity. The guy showed up at Staples Center. They didn't ask for a meeting with him. He just showed up and just was trying to plead his case to Vince and Triple H, just basically asking why they hadn't called him, because he wanted to be involved somehow in the WrestleMania run. By the time that he had met with him at Staples Center, there was really nothing for him to do. And even when he came back and made that big debut the night after WrestleMania, I guess Zach said to get on me because I didn't call it a return. They really didn't have anything for him. If you remember, they did the Intercontinental Championship tournament, and I believe it was in the semifinals or maybe even in the finals. Jack Swagger and Cesaro basically took their feud into that match, basically costing Rob Van Dam a chance to go after the Intercontinental title. From there, we had to have a three-way at Extreme Rules. It was Cesaro versus Swagger versus Rob Van Dam. Lots of backstory about that match, thinking that they really wanted to push Cesaro at the time, but a lot of people thought that Jack Swagger was so nuclear that basically anybody who had a match with this guy wasn't going to get anywhere, because they thought that he wasn't going to have a good match. But tell me, how great was that match on Monday, Seth Rollins versus Jack Swagger? I went out of my way to find the complete match on YouTube, and that was well worth my time trying to find that on there. Awesome match. The highlight video that WWE put up on their YouTube really didn't get through it. Swagger is really coming into his own right now, and is really being able to have good matches. From there, Swagger, melted around. I think he had a match at Payback against Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship. And from there on, I can remember him popping up on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, having a few matches against Seth Rollins that were really good. And then he had the one match on NXT with Adrian Neville, which made me turn on the WWE Network to go over to NXT. But he never really did anything. I think, honestly, if you're going to bring back Rob Van Dam, I think he's the guy that you can stick into a Money in the Bank match, and people are going to take him or make him believable, because I think people think that he really has a chance to win one of those, because he has this sort of a ECW extreme background, which sort of relates into with ladder matches. He's had a few good ladder matches in his day, but honestly, I think I like Rob Van Dam just wrestling just regular matches. He does a whole lot of moves that he's the only guy in the world that's able to do him, and that's the one reason that I really like watching Rob Van Dam. If you're going to bring him back, I think he could be the one guy to sort of solidify the Intercontinental Championship tournament, or not tournament, but the championship. Make that belt relevant again. I know that RVD, over his time in WWE, has held that time many, many times. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess 8. I haven't looked it up. I don't know how many times, but I know he's a guy who's held it 1,000 times, much like Chris Jericho. And I don't think the Intercontinental Championship is something that really to be like held down as not being that great of a belt. I think that belt is what you make it, and WWE doesn't really use it as something. Rob Van Dam is the guy that can have that belt and wrestle against mid-card guys and make those matches meaning something, meaning the guys that he's wrestling, they're going to mean something, which means something better for WWE in the future because they move on from this feud, moving into something else, and people think that they're actually able to do something. Sheamus right now as United States Champion is the guy that honestly I don't even really notice when this guy defends his championship. Put Rob Van Dam on TV. Put him on SmackDown, put him on Monday Night Raw. Those are places that you're going to catch people's eyes and you're going to realize this guy's having good matches night in, night out. And Rob Van Dam is the guy that you can believe in. I hope that Rob Van Dam returns sooner than later. I'm not saying tomorrow. But he is a good guy to have around when you use him right. When you look back at that first run, basically he came in. He had the Money in the Bank match, which came in with a big debut. Everybody was really looking forward to seeing Rob Van Dam wrestle because he'd been held captive in TNA, and they weren't really using him over there as well. He had a real good ladder match against Bobby Roode. He had the short little title reign that was ended by Abyss attacking him, where they basically stripped him, and then he made his return before they actually crowned a new champion, almost saying like TNA took the title off of him because they had to have a champion. And by the time he came back, they hadn't even crowned a new one, so it made no sense. It was just basically like, we need to take the title off of Rob Van Dam because maybe we're not getting as many viewers, or maybe people aren't getting behind him as much as we thought, but we don't want to beat RVD. So the whole deal made no sense. I mean, Abyss tagging him with Janice, basically to the point where he couldn't defend his title anymore. But, when he came back after the Money in the Bank, he got put into the pre-show on SummerSlam, going up against Dean Ambrose for the United States Championship. From there, he started a huge feud with Alberto Del Rio, where basically he stole his ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez, in some matches that nobody cared about going after the World Heavyweight Championship. So it's just a matter of WWE getting behind Rob Van Dam and just figure out what we're going to do with this guy, why we're bringing him back. That's what's going to make sense, and that's what's going to put dollars in their bank accounts and butts in the seats.